Hey guys, Ed over here at FICM Repair. What a great question we have this morning about oil coolers and some content that we haven't really made before, I'm realizing. I don't think we've ever had this conversation. And the conversation is not at what deltas are you going to have a problem with oil cooling. The conversations are what are the ramifications of not, I don't care if your deltas are 100 degrees. I care, but I don't, as long as you don't operate it. So the question is operation. Don't be operating your 6.0 above 230 degree oil like ever. 225 is a stop number for me to say I better get my foot out of it. But 230 is like, don't do it unless you want to blow some heads, because that's what happens. People run these things too hot and then they blow head gaskets, and it starts with just running too dang hot. So when your oil temperatures are high, it causes all kinds of problems. You have lifter failure, you have all kinds of stuff, and it's just bad. So the whole idea behind 15-degree deltas between oil and coolant is really to say, hey, what kind of efficiency am I getting out of my oil cooler? Is my oil cooler actually cooling my oil? Because obviously you've got an innie and an outie for coolant to come through there, and you got the oil coming in and out of there as well. And it's a liquid to liquid heat exchanger is what it is, and it should be ridiculously efficient. So when you pull a hill and you get off that hill, you should see your temperatures come back pretty quickly. If you don't, that's an indication that your oil cooler is clogged up and it's not just flowing the way that it should, and so you're losing efficiencies, and we don't want that for you. But at what point are you going to cause damage? It's not when your oil cooler is clogged, it's the result of the oil cooler clogging, which is too high of oil temps net. And so when your oil temperatures are too high, you can't keep it under 225 to save your life, right? That's when it's like, okay, let me do something about this before I'm going to have to really do something about this and talk to that Ed guy in IO about heads and head gaskets and lifters and engines and everything else that we want to avoid for you. So that's what I would tell you. If that gets you there, great. Do I like the deltas that we're talking about here that this guy writes about? I don't. Do I think it's probably time for an oil cooler? Yeah, I do. If you want to take a look at just the replacement in the valley, that's fine. If you want to hop on FICMRepair.com, go to the maintenance tips section, and there's a maintenance tip called "Lose the Ford Gold Coolant" with a 40-page guide on how to backflush your system out. And you want to couple that with IPR's full flow coolant filter, which has backflush functionality, or you just want to get the Fix Your 6 backflush valve. Either of those, any of those are an option. So lots and lots and lots of options. So doing an oil cooler is a tremendous amount of work. I mean, the turbo's got to come off, no big deal, but then the intake's got to come off, oofta, right? And so that just begs all kinds of other questions about what you should do when you're in there. I would try diligently to get out of having to do that job by back flushing the system first. Get yourself some VC9, throw it up in there, see if you can make your problem better. If you can, yay team, take the win, all the stuff. If you can't, it is what it is, right? So go ahead and change out the oil cooler, and we can hook you up with that and all the related parts that you need. But hopefully now you've thought about the reason why, and it's not just some ephemeral idea of, oh, look at my deltas, they're this, they're that, and the other, it's time for an oil cooler. Really, it's why. So when you hit 225 and you just cannot not hit 225, that's when it's just like, okay, yeah, I got to do something about this. And so that answer varies if you live in a cold climate. If you're up in the flats where it's freezing cold outside, you can get away with a clogged up oil cooler way longer than you can for somebody who's pulling mountains when it's 95 degrees outside. So it just makes sense, right? And down that path, recognize also that depending on how much heat you're trying to reject, because it's all about BTU rejection, heat rejection out of these oil coolers, you might decide that you want to get a remote mount oil cooler. And if you get IPR researches, you can daisy chain the oil coolers. It's pretty sweet. If you want to get bulletproofs, I use a massive freaking radiator at the front of the truck. Either of those options would work great. I can tell you on my '05 excursion, literally 10 years ago, I backflushed, put like 500 gallons of water through my block, and now even pulling my pontoon, which if you've pulled a pontoon, they're like a sail. I mean, my little token 1,000-pound pontoon is harder to pull than a 12,000, 15,000 pound trailer. Hell, holy crap, you just feel it back there because of the wind, right? But even when I'm pulling my boat and it's 95 degrees outside, my coolant and oil temps are within 3-4 degrees of each other. So that's how it could be. but it was a lot of work to get there. And I'm running a full flow coolant filter, and I'm running all the other things, and I'm running, I ran the VC9, and I did everything, back flushed the crap out of it. It was a whole day, but it was a day that was done once, and I haven't had a jack with it again, which makes my heart very happy. Because as an old guy, just saying, all of a sudden what happens is you start realizing that time, we've only got so much of it. And how much time do you want to spend in your garage, man? I don't know. So if you do need an oil cooler, one more topic, one parting thought, thanks for listening, is go ahead, because there's a thought out there like, man, I'm not having a problem. Should I back flush? I'm going to shoot another video on this. Do you want to back flush an existing an existing setup when your problems aren't that bad? So we'll visit about that. So stay tuned. All right, FICMRepair.com. We're all in this together. Thank you. Great question. Appreciate you.